This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, National Party leader Judith Collins has pledged her support to Invercargill's Community Hospital. Ski field workers have ventured to lower slopes to help out a conservation effort. And a furry friend in Central Otago is retiring from her role of being read to by children. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Southland's Charity Hospital is still under construction and not set to open until next year. But National Party leader Judith Collins visited the construction site today. She says the hospital is a vindication of the work being undertaken by people who actually care.
National Party leader Judith Collins visited Southland today to catch up with local party supporters, meet with farmers in Winton and also people such as Melissa Vining who are behind the construction of the Southland Charity Hospital. The facility is to provide care for people who cannot access treatment through the District Health Board and can't afford private treatment. It's created in the memory of healthcare advocate Blair Vining, who died from cancer almost 2 years ago. Collins sees it as an example of the Labour government not providing for the public.
It's an indictment on the fact that the government hasn't understood that there has been an increase in population, an increase in need in Southland, particularly around colonoscopies. And it's also it's a vindication of the work that's being undertaken by people who actually care and can do something with all that caring.
Collins says even in opposition, her party can help bring change to the country.
We now have suicides at about twice the road toll every year. It's a national disgrace, and promises have been made to people about services for their family members, and they simply haven't been met. It is a disgrace, and it's worse to promise and then actually not deliver.
In Invercargill, The South Today.
The Otago Regional Council has approved an increase by just over 75%. Some councillors say increasing the rates by 3/4 should be recognised as a pivotal moment for the council as it works to turn the ship around. Port Otago, which is 100% owned by the council, has bought the former Dunedin warehouse site in McLagan Street for just over $10 million. The increase in rates for many households could be up to $80 per year. The warmer than usual winter is having a positive spin-off for conservation efforts in Bollock Creek. Central Otago Fish and Game says workers from nearby ski fields are lending a hand while there's not enough snow to open.
Workers from 2 Central Otago ski fields are lending Fish and Game a hand while there's not enough snow for them to work on the higher slopes.
Yeah, so at the moment the unseasonably warm weather is putting a bit of a slow start on the ski fields, and we've been offered by some staff by Treble Cone and Cadrona to come and work. They're doing community work, so I think we've got 7 people here today, and they're working here for 4 hours.
Otago Fish and Game Officer Paul Van Klink says there are groups of workers tackling a host of different but all very essential tasks around Bullock Creek.
So they're doing all sorts of jobs. We've got some bush clearance happening over here. We've got we're burning a bit of material that's been dry for quite a while, and we've got some firewood that's getting stacked away for the hut use, and we've got plant containers which need to be sorted out because they're all got to go back to the prison, and some of them are no good, so we've just got someone sorting those out as well.
He says the labourers are also making sure smaller native trees are being protected from Central Otago's favourite floppy-eared pests.
We're also doing some rabbit protection around the plants. So we've got some cages that we've brought in from up the top, and we've protected some plants that were getting nibbled on by rabbits.
Some of the young plants being protected from predators have been grown by inmates at the Otago Corrections Facility. And Van Klink says it's a great way for those behind bars to help the environment.
They grow native plants for us, for the site and also for other sites in Wanaka. And yeah, we get the seed eco-source from Wanaka and then we take it down to the prison and they grow natives for us. So when we plant the plants out, the little planter bags, we try and recycle them, so that's what we've got people just sorting through those today and just making sure that we can reuse them.
The workers, who are used to snowy terrain, are handling the bushy slopes very well. And Paul Van Klink says many of them have said they're keen to spend more time out of the snow zone. In Wanaka, the South Today.
Armed police responded to reports of a firearm incident in the Kingswell suburb of Invercargill this afternoon. Police say they were alerted to the incident on Dipton Street just before 1 p.m. today. Initial indications are that a firearm had been discharged. An area of the street has been cordoned off and police are conducting a scene examination. A nearby resident says there was gang activity in the area and she heard 2 loud boom sounds before police arrived. For 4 years, Petal, a pedigree mongrel as her human Anne Davies refers to her, has been a regular fixture at the Alexandra Library. Petal has been a core part of the Reading to Dogs program, where children read stories to dogs.
You might not be able to teach an old dog new tricks, but an old dog can help teach youngsters to read, simply by being there.
An audience that is non-judgmental, attentive, there's no mockery, there's no criticism. They can go at their own pace, it doesn't matter if they don't get told to speed up or slow down. You know, they can pronounce things exactly as they like. It's just a nice, safe way to actually develop reading.
The program was designed to encourage reluctant readers to actively read at their own pace by reading to therapy dogs. Alexandra and Cromwell Libraries team leader Vicky Darling says the program has been going really well.
Petal is just delightful. She really is. She seems to be the perfect personality for Reading to Dog. You know, she's calm, she's quiet, she's attentive.
However, all good things must come to an end, and Petal has retired from the Reading to Dogs program. Petal's owner, Anne Davies, says at 10 years of age, and with a bit of arthritis setting in Petal's hand-shaking leg, it's time for her to retire.
Well, she's 10 and she's developing arthritis, and I just feel it is time that she's not programmed to come at certain times.
Vicky Darling says it'll be sad to see the old girl go.
Well, we're sorry to lose her from the program, but we're going to be seeing her because she comes in quite often with Anne and Laurie to visit us anyway, so we're going to be keeping in contact with her.
However, all is not lost. As Anne Davies says, Petal is looking forward to more time for gentle walks and exploring her favourite shops during her retirement. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, we find out what still needs to be done to ensure Waikuiti's tap water is safe to drink. And we have this week's edition of Global Insight with Professor Robert Patman. So catch this and more after the break.
Hi, Lindsay here from Alex Campbell Menswear. We've opened another pop-up store in Invercargill. It's for a limited time. We're in D Street, 201, right beside the Lone Star. Come and check us out. We've got some fantastic deals for you. We've got moleskins, we've got every sort of shirt, worn ones, work ones, business, merino knitwear, jeans, trousers, you name it, the list goes on. It's such a big deal. Come and see us.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Alex Campbell Menswear, pop-up store, D Street, Invercargill.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Welcome back. Dunedin City Council staff are having discussions with health officials to confirm what needs to happen before tap water in the Waikouiti area is safe to drink. Residents have been told not to drink tap water nor use it for food preparation since February, after a series of tests revealed elevated levels of lead in the network. The source of the intermittent problem has not been confirmed. The council is conducting daily testing at some sites and aims to restore the drinking water by the end of this month or early next month. A long-term upgrade of the Waikouiti water treatment plant is planned and design work is underway. In today's Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman discusses the recent electoral victory of a new hardline president in Iran. The international affairs commentator says economic and global realities might force him to become a pragmatist now that he is in power.
Elections have recently been held in Iran. Ebrahim Raisi is now president of the authoritarian West Asian country. He's second only in power to the Islamic theocracy's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. What does Raisi's election mean for Iran and for the world? Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
So who is Ebrahim Raisi?
Well, he's a hardliner, and that's to say he's been head of the judiciary, he's the judiciary chief, and under his leadership, a large number of people have been executed in Iran, and also he's currently being sanctioned by the United States for his alleged personal involvement in the execution of a number of political prisoners in 1988 at the tail end of the war between Iran and Iraq. So he may be the first Iranian leader that's been actually sanctioned before he gets into take on the top leadership. The circumstances which he's elected was also important. He won by a landslide, but he won from the lowest turnout in Iran's electoral history since the revolution of 1979. About 48% of those eligible to vote turned out. So it seems that I think for many countries outside Iran, the election of a hardline is a bit demoralising. But we'll just have to wait and see whether the worst fears are realised.
What are the implications of his election for the world, including New Zealand?
It's very difficult to be absolutely precise about that. The opening signs, his first press conference, were quite demoralising because he said things like the construction of the anti-ballistic missile system, which is worrying a lot of Iran's neighbours, not least Israel, but also some of the Sunni countries of the Middle East, such as Saudi Arabia, he said is non-negotiable. He also said Iran's support for militant groups in a number of countries, its support for Hezbollah, its support, its involvement in the Syrian civil war is also non-negotiable. So he wants a deal, but he seems to want it on his own terms. To be fair, it wasn't Iran that walked away from the nuclear deal, it was the United States. I think a crucial thing is how the new president responds in office. Often hardliners become quite pragmatic in office. He must know that there's a fair degree of political disillusionment, particularly amongst young Iranians, which has been shown by very low turnout.
And for New Zealand, do we get touched by this at all, or does
Yes.
We do?
Iran used to be a big trade partner for New Zealand in the 1980s. I think it was taking quite a sizable chunk of our lamb exports at one point. Since 2016, our trade with Iran has steadily deteriorated, not least because of the sanctions. I think it's down now to, I think last year, if you look at the figures for 2020, exports to Iran were in the close to, I think it was 2.87 million, close to $3 million they were worth to New Zealand. That's relatively modest. But I suppose from New Zealand's point of view, the ideal scenario would be to get the Iran nuclear deal restored and for Iran to begin to open up a bit with the rest of the world, and including the prospects of reviving what used to be quite a strong trade relationship between the two countries.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Noho ora mai.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. Still to come on The South Today, we have this week's edition of Football Chat, and we take a look at tomorrow's weather. So see you after the break.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
MTF Finance can help you turn the key on your next vehicle with a loan made just for you. TCs and lending criteria apply.
Thanks for staying with us. In this week's Football Chat, 2 local players stand in for Morgan Jarvis to discuss how the season has been going for their teams.
Hello and welcome to this week's Football Chat. We are your hosts, Rahan Ali and Matt Kelly, and on the show, as always, we'll be talking all things football.
Liam, welcome to the show. Congratulations on the title win with South City. Could you give us a brief rundown of the season so far?
Season's been good. You know, everyone kind of was a bit interested in to see how we would go. We've, you know, played some very attacking football. We've had a few kind of critics about the way we play, and that we don't play pretty. But when you concede the least goals and you score equally the most and win the league with 2 games to go, do you really, you know, want to be playing pretty football?
Well, you can't argue with that, can you?
No, you can't. Can't argue with the results. I've always said that.
No. Now, Tessa, welcome to the show. Let's talk about what happened in the weekend's game. A 3-1 loss to Roslyn. Kate Macbeth getting a first half hat trick. Run us through the game. What happened?
Oh, we really don't need to talk about the game, to be honest, Rahan. We can move on from that. It wasn't the prettiest football. Roslyn came at us and we were really fizzed for the game, and the girls were up for it, and you know, we're getting some good bangers in the changing rooms, good songs, good beats going, and we came out and the whistle blew, and yeah, just disaster, to be honest, from the first minute to the last 45. So
tough one.
Yeah, a real tough one. Roslyn came at us with a lot of pace, and I think the attitude of the girls to keep going was fantastic, but it just wasn't our day, and it just wasn't our day of playing football. We had a bit of a rack up at half time, and we had a really honest conversation about sort of what had happened, and to full credit to the girls, like they stepped back out, got their heads up and played a really good second half, managed to score a really nice goal off a free kick. Cheers to Jess Fuller and B Park for that.
Yeah.
And look, we came away from the game obviously really frustrated, but at least we kind of pulled something back in that second half. So, and you know, like I said, full credit to the girls for getting their heads up and just going for it.
All right, well, I think that just about wraps up the show.
Yeah,
Liam, Tessa, thanks for coming in. Rahan,
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Matt.
And to all our fans, we do love to hear from you. So we've had a lot of fan mail, international, domestic, local. It's been really great to hear from you, and we hope we do again.
Just keep sending those emails into Danny Ledwith at Football South. He loves that. That's the best part of his week.
Oh, he loves that.
And yeah, again, thanks to the guests, and always a pleasure. Never a chore, Matty.
Never.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having us.
And you can watch the full interview online at odt.co.nz. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. National Party leader Judith Collins has pledged her support to Invercargill's Community Hospital this afternoon. Ski field workers have ventured to lower slopes to help out a conservation effort while there's not enough snow up high. And a furry friend in Central Otago is retiring from her role of being read to by children to help them learn to read. And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Starting with today's southern view of the continuing demolition of the former Cadbury factory. But looking at the situation, fine weather and becoming milder for the next few days as northwesterly airflow increases. Watch out for bitter cold and low-level snow early next week. Starting at the northwest of the South Island, rain for everyone here with 15 degrees in Greymouth and 14 for Westport. Moving to the northeast, scattered showers with 14 degrees in Nelson, and it's cloudy in Blenheim with 16 degrees. Moving to Canterbury, it's cloudy in Kaikoura and Christchurch, while Ashburton will see scattered showers throughout the day. Kaikoura looks at a high of 14, while Ashburton and Christchurch both reach 16 degrees. Moving to the southern towns, northwesterly winds decrease and rain clears throughout the day, with a high of 13 degrees for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. Moving to the Central Lakes area, it's gusty northwesterlies with some rain for most here. Queenstown and Wanaka reach a high of 12, Alexandra 13, and Tiana reaches 12 degrees and can expect showers throughout the day. To the northern towns along the coast, Timaru sees fresh northerlies and high cloud with 16 degrees. Oamaru is the same with a brief period of rain and 15 degrees. Inland, Twaisona Marama can expect gusty northwesterlies, some rain and a high of 14. In Dunedin, fine with high cloud tonight and a low of 6. It's mild tomorrow with high cloud and moderate to fresh northerly winds. Some brief light rain possible during the afternoon, with a change to cooler southwesterlies in the evening with brief showers. A high of 14 and a low of 7. Becoming fine and sunny on Saturday with mild northerlies, a high of 15 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, rain tonight with a low of 7. Cloudy with rain easing to showers tomorrow and decreasing westerlies and milder temperatures, a high of 14 and a low of 7. And it's mostly fine on Saturday with sunny periods and some cloud with moderate westerlies, looking at a high of 13 and a low of 7. And that's all for our news for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.